All right, so I'm doing this today because I know from prior years past that this is a tricky thing for 7th graders because you forget how to do it. Like I said, you didn't. The last time we did a time test was a long time ago, or what you remember in. So I think we need to go over multiplying and dividing decimals because when I get to do that stuff in class, I don't want to have to go over it again. I want you to have had it already before we get to some things in our textbook. On Monday, we will be in the textbook, so make sure you bring it along with you if you haven't already. So the first thing we're going to do in your notebook, what I want you to write is multiplying decimals, okay? Because we're going to do two things today. We're going to review how to multiply, and we're going to review how to divide decimals. So the first thing is multiplying decimals. Now, are we going to do all of these? No. We're probably going to do about one I have from each slide. And we're going to start simple. We're going to start really simple, and we're going to start with this one, I think. So what's the trickiest part about multiplying when you have a decimal involved? What do you think is the trickiest part, Mason? Yeah, like what to do with the decimal. Like that's the thing that everybody forgets. And a lot of times people think that they have to line up decimals if there's decimals in both. They get confused. They get confused between adding and subtracting and multiplying decimals. So multiplying decimals, you do not need to line them up, but the hardest part is figuring out where that decimal goes. So let's talk about, let's just refresh our memories on how to multiply a number, okay? So if I was doing this one, and I want you to write some of these examples with me in your notebook, even though you think you already remember how to do this, that's fine. I still want you to have some examples with me in your notebook. So 19.2 times 3. What do I need to do first? What's the first thing, Matt? 2 times 3, I get 6. Now what? Landon. Which is, do you know? Okay, so where am I going to put the 2 and what am I going to do with the 7? What am I going to do with the 2 and what am I going to do with the 7? Yeah, and what does this mean? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean 3 times 1 times 2? Like, tell me what that means, Ailey. Plus that 2. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 I have 5. Is this my answer? No. What am I missing? How do I know where the decimal goes in my answer? Can I drop it right down? What can I do, Bella? One space. So if I have one space of decimals in my problem, it's a one space decimal here. Okay? I hope this is coming back to you. Let's try another one. Okay, let's try this one. Get this one written in your notebook. 5.61 times 13. Actually, I might move it down so it's not so high. There we go. All right, so let's talk about what do you have to do first. When you have more than one digit, 3 digit, whatever, what am I doing first? What am I going to do first in this one? Nat? 3 times 1, I get 3. Then I'm going to keep moving. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15. 16. That should be my first line. Now, what do you think people forget in the second line? Haley? Drop a 0 down. Now, has anybody ever explained to you why you put a 0 there? Or has anybody just said you do that? You do that. Okay, let me explain why you do that. Okay? So the reason why you put a 0 here is because when you multiplied that 3, you multiplied the ones place. You're done with the ones place. That's why a 0 goes there. You're done with the ones. Because what place value are you moving to next in that problem? The tens. That's right. So you're going to start putting your answer in the 10 spot then. That's why you put zeros there, is because you're done with some of the place values already. So now, put your 0 there. And I start again. 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 1 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, and we're adding, of course. 3, 9, 12, 5, 6, 7. Does that look right? Sometimes I make mistakes. If I make mistakes, please tell me. Don't tell me when I'm like 6 slides down the road, because that happens. They'll be like, oh, you made a mistake on like slide 2. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Okay. Where am I going to put my decimal here? This is not a decimal. 2 spots in because I have 1, 2. 1, 2 here. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right, you try one yourself. You try one yourself. You do this one for me. 4.8 times 2.3. Remember, if you're given two numbers, you don't need to line the decimals up. Sometimes that happens just by itself that they line up. Not all the time. Keeping things lined up is super important. If we don't keep things lined up, things aren't going to be added together correctly. So it's important to keep your digits lined up. All right, so does anybody want to tell me what you got for the first line? Okay, so you should have three lines. You should have what you did in the ones, the tens, and then your answer. So in the first line, what do you have for your numbers? Mason? 1, 4, 4. Look familiar? On yours? Should be the same thing on yours. What about the second line? What do you got for a second line, Matt? 96. Should be 9 and 0. Oh, yeah. Should be 9, 6, and a 0, right? Don't forget that. Does that ever look familiar to everybody there? So we should have 4, 10, 11.4. Does that look familiar? Well, 0.04. 2 spaces in. 1, 2. You're going to go 1, 2. That's what your answer should look like. Good to go? Okay, I'm going to give you one more, and I want you to do it. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. Let's see. What's my next page here? I can't remember. All right. I'm going to not do any of those. I'm going to give you my own. Okay? You do that one by yourself. You do that one by yourself. Keeping things lined up is important. All right. Anybody need any more seconds yet? Okay. All right, I'm going to start to do it, and you see if yours looks like mine, okay? And if I make a mistake, somebody better say something. It's frozen. That would be, there we go. 9 times 6, 54. Look familiar? Anybody? No? It's right? What do you think is incorrect? 6 times 4 is 24. 5, 6, 7, yep, I get it. Yeah, sometimes there gets to be too many numbers up there, and if you cross them out, sometimes it's a little easier to understand. So then we got 6. We got another 6. We're going to carry this to 14, 15, 9, 10. That look familiar? Okay, so how many decimal spaces? 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? That's what it looks like. So how do we do? Okay, yes, Mason. What? Oh, you know, sometimes that happens, right? You just gotta be careful with your, that's why we went into our time test this morning quick. I wanna show you something. How many of you like to keep your stuff like neat and organized? Does anybody like your work neat and organized? Okay, so if you like your work neat and organized, can you see my grid up there? It's a good idea to use graph paper for this kind of stuff. It keeps your numbers directly in line. You know exactly what you need to multiply. So like, let me give you an example. Let's do, and each box is going to be numbers. So like 234 times 0.3. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12, 9, 10, 6, 7. I mean, you can make it so everything is directly, on top of each other so it looks nice and neat. So if you want to be nice and neat, you can use graph paper for today's homework. It actually works better for division, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay? So next thing on your note sheet, on your notes, we're going to talk about division. Division of decimals. So on your notes, division of decimals. Okay? Are we going to do all of them? No. A few of them? Yes, to just refresh our memories on how to do this again. And I think I'm going to do this one first. So if you want to write this one down in your notebook for sure. So what do we know about when we divide decimals? What do we do with a decimal? Let's say we only have a decimal in the one underneath the house. I call this the house. I don't know what you guys call it, but I call it the house. I only have a decimal underneath the house. What am I going to do with that decimal? What am I going to do with it, Mason? What am I going to do with my decimal? Like if I have an answer up here, where's it going to go? No, not all the time. Easiest thing to do. When you're dividing and you have a decimal, put it directly on top already. That will help you when you do your division. You don't have to guess where your decimal goes. It's right above it. Nope, that's all you got to do. So now, does 3 go into 1? No. Does 3 go into 15? How many times? 5. So where does that 5 go? Above the 1 or above the 5? Above the 5, yep. Minus 15, it gives a 0. I'm going to bring my 9 down. Does 3 go into 9? 3 times exactly. 5.3, my decimal's already in my answer. Don't even have to worry about it. So if you move that decimal up right away, there's no forgetting it, and there's no figuring out where it needs to go when you're done, especially if you're not good at lining up your numbers. Because if you're not good at lining up your numbers, pretty soon you're like, I don't know, does it go here, does it here, which way does it go? If you put it up right away, there's no guessing. Okay? Let's go to the next page. Let's talk about it when there's a decimal on the outside now also. What's the rule when there's decimal on the outside of the house and on the inside of the house? What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Matt, do you remember? Right, so I want to get the decimal out of this number. So if I move it here out, what do I got to do my next number? I got to do this to the same thing, the exact same amount of times, no more. Sometimes it'll end up out of the number like this one did. Sometimes it won't, and that's fine. Now a good idea again is to put it right above, so you do not have to guess where it goes. It's a lot of decimals. Yep. I mean, technically, I guess you could, I don't know, it's hard to erase it too because you don't want to forget that you did it. So, all right, so let's do it. How many times does 80 go into 205? Anybody got a guess? 82? I think it goes in twice too. Let's try. Goes in 4. 164? Yeah. 82 times 2, 164. And a minus 164. 1. I get 4. What can I do now? If I run out of numbers to bring down, what can I do? Nolan? I can add as many zeros as I want. You are correct. Let's add a 0. Okay, because zeros don't change a number. You can just keep adding them. They don't change the number. Let's bring down the 0. Now we got to figure out how many times 82 goes into a 410. Anybody got a guess for me to try? Try 4. Okay, so 8, 3, 328. Should we try 5? Oh my gosh, what was that? Did you see that? What was that? Times 5, 0. Perfect. 2.5. You try one by yourself. You try this one by yourself. In your notebook, you try that one by yourself. See if you can remember. See if it comes back to you. It comes out even, but I think it goes out 3 spaces. It will stop eventually if you're correct in your math. Don't forget your decimal, move it 2 spaces. I like to do my decimal stuff right away so don't forget. All right, need a few seconds yet? Okay. I'll give you 30 more seconds. Okay, so does 25 go into 24? We know it doesn't. If you want to put a 0 up here, you can put a 0. Does 25 go into 246? How many times? 8 times? I think it's 9 times. I think it's 9. So 25 times 9. 10 is 250, right? So 9, yeah, it's got to be 9 then. So 5, carry the 4. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 225? It is easy with 25s. I always think of quarters. How many quarters would be like in $2.46? That's what I think of quarters all the time. All right, so then we get 225. And we have a 1 here, and we have a 2 here. And Nolan told me before I can keep adding zeros as many times as I want. 25 going to 210. Well, it should be 8 times because 8 quarters would make $2, so that's like 200. So minus 200. I get 10. I'm going to add another 0. 4. That's what your answer should look like. That's what your answer should look like. Can you see how using something like this, I should set this down. Like if I do 391 divided by, 0.2, it's really easy to do and keep your stuff lined up if you're using a box again. And I'll show you back here so you can see it. So it's on my recording. So if you have, you're dividing, and it's 3.2, and then 0.2 out here, move it once, and it's an easy way to use your decimal. Goes in. It's a really easy thing to use if you like to keep yourself organized And in your lines and your numbers in the line, this is a good way to use. So if you want to use graph paper for your homework today, you can use graph paper to help keep yourself organized. I'm fine with that. Okay? I am a person that likes to see things in a straight line, and this would help me. So if I know if I like it, some of you might also like it. This is my lesson for today. It's just reviewing, multiplying, and dividing decimals. That's it. So that's the scoop. Okay? Do you have any questions for me on anything here? Just remember, move your decimal if you need to move your decimal. If you're dividing, put it straight up so you know where it goes.